I can really pinpoint is that's where I fell in love with the process. That's something that can get lost a little bit all the way through is it's not always just results oriented, but if there's anything that I can take from those little blips of my career, it's all the stuff off the field.
Welcome to Surviving Youth Sports Podcast, where we dive into real stories behind the wins, the losses, and the lessons that come with raising, coaching, and being young athletes. I'm your host, Rhett Parker, lifelong coach, dad, and believer that sports are about far more than just the scoreboard. Each week, we explore honest perspectives, real experiences, and the moments that shape who we become through the game. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share the show with someone who needs to hear it. Now let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Surviving Youth Sports. I'm your host, Rhett Parker, and today, sort of a special guest for me. It's someone that I built a relationship with and coached, and his name is Andrew Walling, and he has had quite the career, and you're still playing. And you're getting ready for big league spring training camp. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate you reaching out and look forward to chatting it up a little bit today.
Yeah, and let's just dive right into it. Like your story, very interesting because you grew up, I mean, not in a big town.
No.
Like the travel ball scene for you, talk about that because you did not take the I'm playing for Trotsky or I'm playing for the big clubs, even locally route.
No, growing up, it was all through just the local Cal Ripkens, playing Babe Ruth, finding a group of buddies that really all enjoyed baseball, and really until later in high school, I really just kind of stuck around Longview and played ball with those guys, and we still played really high level baseball. Like we'd go out and playing times, even coming up to Ravensdale and playing at your tournaments, like still got to have plenty of competition. And it wasn't until a little later on in the high school career that it became a little more apparent that like baseball was going to be an option after just the youth and high school. So that initial path though was I grew up playing with guys that I went to school with, elementary, middle, high school, all the way through. So that was something that I'll always get to kind of carry with me is those memories with those guys.
And I mean, to put it into context, if you throw the ball 92 to 95 miles an hour in high school, and you're left-handed especially, hey guys, you can play for whoever you want to play for. You are the poster child for that. Like you're a dude, and you didn't have to run all over the country to go be a dude. And I would say that knowing your parents a little bit, I mean, your dad would go to some of these events and just like look around and go, what are all these crazy baseball people doing? And I think the baseball was just like a cool thing because he's not a baseball guy.
Yeah.
And I actually think that really helped you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, him being a guy that was learning it as I did. I think that was really big. Him having that objective focus to like he's not a part of it. He never lived it per se. He played sports growing up, but he was never a baseball guy. So he'd kind of look around, and we both learned as we went of like sometimes we'd both be dumbfounded, like what is going on here? What is this event, or how are these people reacting to this different stuff? Because frankly, I didn't know that I was necessarily someone who was above and beyond the level that I was at, just in terms of like talent. Like you said, was able to throw it pretty hard at a younger age. I really had no idea. I just played the game because it was fun. Like I enjoyed doing it on a regular basis and meeting the different people I get to play with. Like it was just that little bit that I think kept me going instead of making it a life and death type of thing, even at just a young age. I got to have fun with it. I think that was the biggest piece, was more so than anything is it's just fun traveling, made it about the game more so than anything.
Yeah. And you took a trip to North Carolina where I think we were 16, and you used to, I mean, in high school, you're really proficient and a really good hitter as well. And I remember you like closed a game against one of the Evo Shield teams, then you hit a home run in a game, and Duke and North Carolina are pulling you off to the side and like, hey, here's scholarship, because we're playing at their fields.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just, I do kind of remember like the moment you're like, man, I'm pretty good. And it was a cool thing for me to see you kind of go through that. And then obviously you played area codes, and um but I don't think that your career hasn't just done this, right?
Not
I
even close.
In high school you weren't drafted.
Nope.
Talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, high school, that going into that senior year, that summer I tore my UCL. So pitching at a college showcase, summer ball, came back from I really kind of a banged up kid all through high school.
Mhm.
Just couldn't quite catch a break, just some odd thing here with a broken bone or whatever it might have been, and then the UCL went that junior summer. So I spent my senior year of high school rehabbing a torn UCL, and that one was it was not very fun to miss that high school year of that last year of ball with those guys, but also it kind of put me through a little bit of a whirlwind going into the next step of college, and uh, still was very thankful to Oregon State, who I had committed to, that they were going to say, hey man, like, yeah, get your surgery done, we're going to take you, come on to campus. But the as soon as that surgery kind of happened, you could throw pro ball out the window. And so it
Right.
was like, okay, we're gonna take the long route. I think longer in terms of not going right out of high school, and
Hmm.
there was a few more lessons to be learned along the way. I think that was the beginning of the path that, like you said, the trajectory was not just straight up from there. It was a lot of ups and downs and lessons learned along the way that has gotten us kind of here.
Right. And again, talked about being an Oregon State commit and playing locally, and not your dad didn't break the bank to do this and do that and run all over the country, because again, when you're really good, and you just have to be left-handed too, it helps. Um, you're gonna have a spot,
Hmm.
and I mean, I hate to say it like this, but it's true. Like, you almost have to prove you're bad to not have a spot if you throw hard when you're left-handed. Like, you almost have to like prove that you're not good. But it doesn't work out for everybody,
Hmm.
right? And let's start there. Let's talk about your Oregon State experience, because I know you enjoyed it, but there was definitely some feelings that weren't great as you progressed through that.
Yeah, it was tough. I think well, this in the most simple way possible. There was not a lot of easy sailing, and that was partially in my own fault. I think work in terms of understanding what it really took to be good at that level. I don't think I was quite there yet either. Um, and so I had to learn that lesson for myself in terms of, hey, what it actually takes to be a Division I college athlete, or even the next step of the pro level, is it's the attention to details, the daily commitment to how well are you going to execute each little thing. That is still something I look back on those days of like. But I think that the tougher part for me was I didn't really know where to start. Like you kind of said, I didn't really come from baseball background.
Right.
So a lot of it was just me kind of picking things up along the way, and trying to get any information I could when it was possible. And I think that was something that it just in terms of development, I think it kind of ran its course at Oregon State, just in
Hmm.
terms of what I was able to do. And frankly, I wasn't good enough to be on the field at the time. I wasn't the product that they could put out. It's a very prestigious program, and there's
Hmm.
there's phenomenal players that go through there. So that was what kind of led me to, hey, this COVID shutdown, it's probably a little bit of a blessing in disguise. Like I'm gonna get a year of eligibility back, and that's where I reached out to you, and we got in contact with Coach Parker out in
Oh,
Oklahoma. Yeah,
I got my
yeah,
Little Rock
yeah.
shirt on,
He's
Coach
repping.
Parker.
That's our guy. Got in contact with those guys and really understood kind of the path I wanted to take from there. Was
Hmm.
like I knew I needed to learn how to develop these skills for myself, more so than trying to just lean on a new coach and try a new gimmick every little time. And I think that I can really pinpoint is that's where I fell in love with the process. And I think that's something that can get lost a little bit all the way through. Uh, is it's not always just results oriented. Yes, at the end of the day, did you win? Did you get all the home runs? Did you get the strikeouts? Of course, that's the cool stuff. But if there's anything that I can take from those little blips of my career, it's all the stuff off the field. It's what are the hours you're putting in beforehand? What's the mentality you're trying to create afterwards? What's a plan that you can develop for yourself so you can just continue to excel? And they put it really in place for me to have that opportunity. Like, you need to have a place that you can fail without feeling fear.
Right.
And so I think that was something that really stood out to me about those guys when I went down there and talked to them, is like, I'm going to have an opportunity to fail. Not to say I'm expecting to fail or show
Right.
up and be poor, but I think in baseball, because so often you do fail, you have to have that ability to know that someone's not just going to ruin your day. Like, that's that fear piece that we can either create for ourselves or someone on the outside, coach, mom, dad, whatever it might be. I think
Right.
that's something that I had really an opportunity to just kind of play with freedom, and it was game changing.
And to put it into context for people, you're talking about a guy that was left-handed that hit 100 miles an hour multiple times at Eastern Oklahoma Junior College. Talking about having the ability to fail. And you don't get the same opportunities, and this sort of goes into recruiting and picking the right path for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you fail at Oregon State, especially, I mean, you're talking about 2019, even now, like the opportunity, and the rosters were bigger back then too. Like you're not going to get a ton of those. There's no room for it at Oregon State. And I think that's why going to play for Coach Parker is a really good friend of mine. No relation though. Sorry, Matt. We're not gonna be related. And then Coach Oni, who's the pitching coach at West Virginia now. I mean, just because you're a junior college coach doesn't mean that you're a worse coach than somebody at a big school. It doesn't mean that at all. And these guys are really good teachers, really good coaches, and leaders of men. And we're talking about a guy that is talking about failing at a junior college who's a guy. I mean, how many, I don't remember anymore, but I mean, you had David Sandlin, who went
Mm-hmm.
to Oklahoma, who's where, I don't know, I think he's what, AAA?
He just got traded to the White Sox. He's going to be a
Okay.
big leaguer this year.
Big league guy. Christian McGowan,
Mm-hmm.
is he still with Phillies?
Yeah, he's currently in our org. He'll be back on the field this year, probably double AAA very quickly.
Okay. Andrew Wallen, who AAA big league camp guy, what like on the same junior college team, guys. They're all still playing. And you're talking about 2018 high school grad. And I think one was an 18, one was a 19. They're still playing. And their path was to go to a junior college in Oklahoma, where I've never been there, but I can't imagine there's a lot going on around there.
No, it's baseball.
Yeah.
It was the best decision I ever made, and it was a very much so a baseball decision in that aspect. Is like, it's small town, very very close knit community. Like, you're there to do your job and get some stuff done and learn some more about yourself. And I think you make a great point. Like, need to become more of a man.
Yep.
Just get those skills, be able to live on your own in some harsher conditions, and understand that you
Yeah.
can get out on the other side of that.
For sure. For sure. So we go through Eastern Oklahoma. We talked about signability, and you probably had the wrong agent. You definitely did,
Mhm.
because I
Yeah.
was obviously hearing things about you being unsignable. I was like, I know him. Like that ain't true. But you didn't get drafted.
No.
Okay. And this is where we really get into, you've started to have some trials and tribulations of, tore your UCL. So you don't get drafted out of high school. You go to Oregon State. Works out in certain ways, doesn't work out in others. Now you're at a junior college in Nowheresville, Oklahoma, but it's the best thing for you. And you commit to Mississippi State. which was super exciting at the time. Talk to me about that, because I think this is really important for probably more athletes and even parents to hear your
Mhm.
perspective.
Yeah, I think I was ecstatic to be going there. Once the draft stuff kind of fell through, I think my outlook in terms of what I was going to go try to do at Mississippi State became a little too big in terms of, okay, well, I lost out on this, so I need to go get more instead of just continuing to be myself and play the game that I was already excelling at junior college. Um, because the game really does stay the same. People you're playing against change, where you're playing it changes, but the game's
Mhm.
the same.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that was the beginning of the end in the sense of having success and really starting to kind of get into a pretty dark place. Um, I'd be lying to you if I said it was easy going. I think there's still plenty of positives I take from my experience there, and it was a great city, and the people I was around on a day to day basis were also just it was really good teammates. But I think I put a lot of undue pressure on myself to be like, okay, I have to be a first rounder now. Like I just missed out on X amount of money,
Right.
this amount of opportunity. Like this is my last shot. I'm a senior now. Like I got it. This is do it or don't. Instead of looking at it from a view of freedom a little bit. And so I started to develop the yips pretty bad. Um, and then it was a constant search every day of how do we get through that and maybe learn how to play baseball and throw a strike again.
Right.
And that started to really blur the line of who I was.
Right.
That started to kind of get into that more mental health conversation
Yeah.
of, I mean, I was definitely really down. Probably you could call it depression.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can. So it was a hard thing to go through just day to day. I didn't look forward to going to practice because it was almost a fear thing. I was
Yeah.
afraid.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to go out there and keep failing. And we'll circle back to kind of like the Oregon State thing is there's not a lot of opportunities to fail at those types of schools.
Mhm.
Um, there's pretty deep rosters and there's not a lot of opportunity to go around and those coaches need to win. And so if you can't be a guy that they can rely on and show up and help win
Mhm.
ball games, you're probably going to get to watch a lot of baseball. And that only accelerated the fact that I was more down on myself. I was searching for identity as well.
Mhm.
Like I didn't know who Andrew was. I just knew
Mhm.
who Andrew the baseball player was there, because that was the whole reason I was going to go out there. Was all right. I'm going to go to a big school. I'm going to compete at a high level, and I'm going to get drafted even higher. And I think I should have just stopped it at I'm going to go to a bigger school and I'm going to compete at a high
Mhm.
level. I think that just in hindsight being 2020, right? I think that small mindset change has a lot of different outcomes for me at Mississippi State, but it's not how it went. And things got pretty heavy out there. And
Yeah.
so I think I ended up throwing like 2 innings throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
One was at the very beginning and then one was at the end in like a 20-run blowout where it's like, okay, we've got no one left. Like give the kid a shot, I
Yeah.
guess. Um, and then it was just kind of over. And I was
Yeah.
like, holy crap, where did the year go?
Mhm.
What I was contemplating hanging them up
Yeah. I
if
remember.
we're all good. Like
Yeah.
it was okay. It's now to the point that this is no longer just a game. It's not the most rewarding to me mentally or physically, and I don't know if I want to do it. And I had a conversation with both mom and dad, and they said, "Hey, don't let it go yet. Go try to just play the summer. Like
Mhm.
just finish the summer circuit and just see what happens." And so I was fortunate enough to get an invitation to go out and play in the draft league
Mhm.
in Pennsylvania for Williamsport, and I got to find the love for it again. It's where it became a game again, and I saw my ability kind of start to shine through and come back, and it's just a little confidence building pieces, and I finished pretty strong there, and then the plan was to just go try to play a grad year at Utah Valley
I
and play
remember.
another year of baseball and be like, okay, this is probably going to be the last one. I'm going to go somewhere I think is really pretty in the country and I'm going to just enjoy it. Like,
Mhm.
and so I think that in itself helped the mindset so much. But then that summer, going after the league had ended, the draft went by, didn't get my name called again. And then after
I
begging
remember,
people to sign
yeah,
me,
right.
just anyone, please.
Yeah, give me a shot.
The Phillies called,
Yeah.
and they weren't even someone I had a contact with,
Mm-hmm.
and they came out of the woodworks and said, "Hey, like we've got an opportunity here for you. Would you be interested?" And I bid at it
Right.
immediately. It's okay.
Right.
Now we go, and it became the dream all over again.
Yeah.
And I think without like the mental health piece was really tough in
Well,
Mississippi State, but
I
without that year, I
yeah,
don't think
you're not where you are.
I'm not where I am.
But I want to touch on a couple of things because I think what really tore me up, and you know, tell people there's going to be people on the podcast as we're growing this thing where I don't have a relationship with them. And a lot of people we've had on, I have relationships with, but there wasn't any support for you out there. Like there was no one that was like, "Hey, it's okay. You're a good kid." That was in your everyday orbit. And I have had this conversation with you. I've had this conversation with a lot of people that are in professional sports or might be in professional sports. And I already know the answer, but I want people to hear this. How many people stopped reaching out to you or stopped trying to be your friend or in your world once it looked like you were going to be done? A lot is going to be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the way that it is when you're an athlete. And it's so sad to me because I'm over here paying attention and I can't have close relationships with everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I got my guys. And some of them, I've said this before, they're pilots, they're firefighters. Our boy Damon Stubbs getting married in 30 days is a sheriff. And it tore me up to watch you kind of go through like, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there like, who cares about you as a baseball player? You're going to, and whether you play for 10 more years or one, you are going to have a positive impact on society. And I'm telling you that again. I told you that since you were 16. And I remember your mom texted me, was like, "Hey, will you check in with him?" I'm like, "Well, you know, I sort of have been." She's like, no, check in on him. So I remember, and my wife has never met you or your family or anything, but like I was like, I don't even know how to get to Starkville, Mississippi, but if this guy says he needs me, I'm going. And that's how important mental health is, man. But I think the key to take that, you're not alone. There are people in your life, your family, your friends, hopefully mentors, that care about you. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying this you is not you, but
Yeah.
for people that are going through these types of things, it's so important to know that baseball or soccer or basketball or football doesn't define who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a part of who you are, but it doesn't define who you are. And that's what got me was there was no support because you didn't produce enough. And I don't know the guys out there, whatever. So I'm not trying to call anybody out, but like take those bad things that happen, the failure, the tough times, and you used it. And look where you're at. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's so important, and why I wanted to have you on here is that it's okay. Everything's good. Look, I mean, look, and whether you're playing or doing something else to be a productive member of society right now, you're fine. And it's good. Um, I really appreciate opening up about because it's friggin' hard, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people just don't know how friggin' hard. I even look at some of the parents, you know, that I deal with that you want their kid to do X, Y, Z, and I'm like, you think this is going to be like a walk in the park, dude? What's going to happen when you get released? You have an injury where your career might be over, and instantaneously you got to think, okay, well, what am I going to do with my life? And it's a really powerful thing to talk about, man. And Yeah, I really do appreciate that, because the Sports Leadership Foundation that I have that's tied with this podcast is about mental health awareness for young athletes and access to play. And your story for me is probably way up there with people that I know. And the perseverance, man, I'll give you just all the credit in the world, because it truly is, it's truly amazing. So where do we take the podcast from here? Where do we go? So move on. We go to the draft league, first year of pro ball.
So 22, I was
Two,
signed, and
two.
I played like
Yeah.
that last month
Right.
in low A, and then 23 would have been like the first I got to experience spring training and then go through a first full affiliate season.
Yeah. And I mean, you've had a lot of success, obviously. 24 was, you were in double A, had a ton of success. Last year, another bump last year, a little bit, right?
Yeah, came into the year a little banged up, um, but really wasn't super worried about it in terms of would I make it through. All right, and I think that goes back to the trials and tribulations prior. Is like it becomes very much so day by day in terms of you can't worry about what's 3 weeks down the line or even tomorrow. That little bit of like shoulder rehabilitation for myself, and then even another hiccup after the first month of the season, went back on the IL, had to come back again and build back up, and then you're kind of fighting and clawing, like you got to catch up to the rest of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of these guys are mid-season form, so you gotta figure it out. You gotta go.
Right.
And I still found my way back into the mix and started throwing high leverage innings again. And I think it would have possibly been derailed if I didn't have that prior experience
Yeah.
of going through like either the hard time in Mississippi State or going through my UCL injury. I like it. It's all building blocks in terms of what's allowing me to keep going and thrive
Right.
in the professional sphere.
And I not at the same level that you did, but Division I and college, and even getting hurt and not being able to hit anymore. And I couldn't run. I was drafted a couple of times as a hitter and then pitched an indie ball, but I was never ever healthy, and I bad hips, bad knees. I look at all those things, and going to University of Portland was the worst baseball decision for me.
Mhm.
Met my wife there. Never would change that for anything. Because I don't go there. My life looks completely different, and I have a great life. And I think we're saying the same thing. Yours is probably a little bit more magnified in some contexts, but like, man, it all shapes us, right? We go through these tough things, and coaches we don't maybe necessarily like, or all these things, and man, it shapes who we are. And that it just, I want people to take that from this episode, from my perspective, of it's okay to be down.
Mhm.
But being down because you're failing at sports doesn't define who you are. So, all right, as we wrap this up, give me a takeaway that you want people to hear. Could be athletes, could be coaches, could be parents, because we are trying to survive youth sports. You know, you will be surviving again down the road as a parent, where I'm at right now, going, what in the heck is going on here? Just like, your dad Jeff did. But let's give us your biggest takeaway that you want people to have, from this episode.
Uh, I think for myself, just if I can reflect on when I was younger, is it was not about how everyone else around me was doing. And in those moments, it seems massive. It seems like this kid's hitting home runs, this kid's doing this kid's doing that. Um, Even in my own experience, some of the guys I've had opportunities to instruct and just kind of have a little bit of an influence on what they're doing in baseball, the ones that have thrived the most and I've seen the most growth from become really good about accepting the failure, but also understanding that they want to just adjust the next time. So it's not necessarily, oh, I went out there and I had 8 strikeouts today and I hit a home run. It was, no, I went out there and I executed my plan. Like, I went out there and I said, I'm going to stay on the outer half of the zone today. I did that. Or I'm going to stay through this ground ball today. I did that. And then they also talk about their parents rewarding that, like the effort and the ability to lock in on that process piece. So I think, at least for myself, that's something I really see stands out in different guys in the youth realm. And some of the best coaches I've been around and some of the best parents I've been around, they all share those qualities where it becomes more about, well, how hard did you try today? How well were you prepared? And then it's not a failure if you didn't do it right. It's okay, let's now go back to the drawing board and figure out why it went wrong.
Hmm.
Instead of making that define you, make how you respond to it define you.
Man, I gotta get you over, but back down to Camus next time you're out here, because I'm trying to preach process over result, and especially in today's age, it's a lot harder. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's just result, and
It's all posted in front of us all the time. It's
yeah,
just slammed in our faces too.
I
I mean,
know,
even professional guys in the professional sphere, like we see it all the time, and it's hard to disconnect and be like, no. This what did I do today? What can I do for myself today?
right, right, and man, you get to that big league level, and bunch. I mean, you might as well just shut your social media down.
Hmm.
I mean, because that's part of the process, and I think people can take a lot from that. But man, your story is really powerful. It has always stuck with me, and maybe I don't use you by name a lot, but I do tell people about your story to try to help kids that are going through stuff sometimes.
Awesome.
And I wish you the best this year. And I always look for those box scores, which is amazing. But I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Honored. Happy
Awesome.
to talk with you anytime, sir.
Awesome. And yeah, hopefully we keep this going long enough. When you're surviving youth sports in the same way that I am as a parent,
Hmm.
we'll get you back on here, and maybe Grandpa Jeff, to have one giant walling podcast. But no, I think it's great, man. I appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Surviving Youth Sports. Remember, the scoreboard may tell a different story, but the snacks, the car rides, and the questionable coaching decisions, that's where the real memories and the real survival skills come from. Please share, subscribe, and follow us.